Today we end the story of Joseph and his brothers. Their father Jacob, head of he was the father of the 12 sons that became the 12 tribes of Israel. Their father Jacob dies. And it's interesting where he wants to be buried, where Abraham saw the angel that told him that Sarah's wife would have a child within a year. So that's way back in the land of Canaan, not in Egypt. So they respect his wishes to bury him there. And his brothers, though, once they know that Dad is dead, they're afraid of Joseph. That Joseph's going to seek revenge on them for the evil that they had done to Joseph. Throwing him in the cistern, selling him into slavery into Egypt. And you get a picture of Joseph's heart here. He weeps because of their misunderstanding. Joseph knew that even though they had done evil to him, that God meant it for good. Because God was able to save the tribe of Abraham, if you will, from starvation and death, and put them into the Nile Valley, where in 400 years they grew into a great nation. Right? And so there's a lot of lessons in that story of Jacob and his brothers. And one of the big ones is we get to reflect on how do we respond to evil that occurs in our lives. And we all have evil that happens in our lives, and we don't understand it. And so Joseph had a lot in his life that he didn't understand, but he always trusted in God. He knew that God was going to work it out, that God loved him, and God was going to save him somehow. So the big lesson is always trust in God. When there's evil that you don't understand, you don't know why it's coming into your life, always trust in God. And another one is that God can turn evil into good. Now, God gives all of us free will, and we have the choice to choose evil or good. And if we choose evil, God does not prevent that. So you could say, well, God will permit evil if we choose it. Okay? And but God will take that and he will turn it into good. And it's because of his goodness and his mercy that he does that. It shows us also a picture of Jesus and God's heart, the goodness that they have. So he can take, even though he gives us this free will, he can take evil that we've done and turn it into something good. Okay? And another big lesson is that God seeks out people that follow his intentions. So God's intentions are goodness and mercy. And Joseph was a person like that. He followed God's intentions of goodness and mercy. And when Joseph was confronted with evil, he didn't respond with revenge and get even. No, he forgave his brothers. And that's the intention of God. That's the way God's heart is and how he wants us to act and behave. And the other thing, and I mentioned it Thursday, is that the story about Joseph and his brothers foreshadows Jesus on the cross, how Joseph suffered all these evils and it came to good. Jesus took all the suffering and evil that was put on him on the cross, and he turned it into incredible good. He turned it into our salvation. He turned it into the victory over death and sin. And so today, maybe we could think a little bit about how we might better imitate Jesus and Joseph, how we could try to imitate God's desire for us to be merciful and good to all those that we meet, how we might be able to turn the other cheek, okay, and return good for evil done to us.